Hey guys, I'm Matt from Geekinses, and I'm your host with guest Ryan. And today we are going to be talking about the NFC Championship predictions. And this game is the Minnesota Vikings versus the Philadelphia Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field. So let's get right into it. Right off the bat, I think this game is going to be a very defensive game. Top two defenses. I'm not sure the top two defenses, but they're definitely one of the top two defenses within the NFL this season and in the playoffs, with the Eagles only giving up 10 points to the Falcons, and the Vikings only giving up 20 or so points to the Saints. 23. I think it's going to be a very big defensive battle, not just because of the weather, or not just because of the great defense, but also the weather, I should say. You have really good defenses all around. The Eagles have a really good defensive line. I really like the Vikings cornerbacks. They're better than Eagles. However, the Eagles' defensive line, I feel, will put a lot of pressure on Case Keenum. So it's definitely going to be a low-scoring game as far as I see it. And it's going to be a very run-oriented game for the Eagles. However, the Vikings are going to try and take advantage of that pass. And they're going to have to do it quickly, because you have that defensive line charging at you with that home crowd pumped up. So they're really going to have to try to pull this one out, the Vikings or the Eagles. It's going to be really close. A lot of analysts say the Vikings have the upper hand because of quarterbacking, because of just everything overall. And I kind of disagree. I think the Eagles have just as good of a team as the Vikings, except for quarterbacking. There was disrespect to Nick Foles. He hasn't been that great, but he is improving. He played a lot better in the playoff game versus the Falcons, divisional rounds, than he had all season. So I think he's gonna have a pretty good game, but not the best. It's gonna be average, probably. That's just my take.
Yes, it is gonna be a very defensive game. Nick Foles will have an average game. Also, it's gonna be a.
So I'm very sure of this.
It is gonna be a big air attack game.
You think?
Because these two teams, they are deadlocked at the best run defenses in the NFL. So, or at least I am going to be expecting a lot of air attack.
I could see a lot of air attack more from the Vikings than the Eagles, only because of
Case Keenum.
Nick Foles. That's why. Because Nick Foles, don't get me wrong, he's okay, but he has made some very risky decisions. However, I do think that he is a guy who is capable of letting the Eagles win, and that's all they need this game.
Nick Foles has come up big when he needs to, and hopefully he could come up big again. So, or at least for me, since I'm an Eagles fan.
Yeah. I think the Vikings do have a very solid chance of winning this. It's going to be, I say 50-50 for me, maybe 51% for the Vikings. However, my prediction is I say 14-13 Eagles. Now, in no way is this biased. No way is this what I would hope for. I mean, I would hope for an Eagles win, obviously, but that doesn't influence my prediction whatsoever. Why do I have the Eagles winning? I think the Eagles' defensive line will put enough pressure on Case Keenum rather than the Vikings' defensive line, putting on Nick Foles, to where Case Keenum will play very similar to Nick Foles. My other reason is cold weather. Vikings are a dome team. Not saying they haven't played outside. They definitely have.
Minnesota is one of the coldest places.
And even if it is indoors, I'm sure they've practiced outside, or if not, they've practiced or they've played in other cold environments. It's not like they only play at home. But that does definitely have an effect, and you see it everywhere. Also, I think that the Eagles, if we're talking about winning a game, and the reason I bring up these small little minute details is because these teams are so close. They are very good defensive teams with offenses that allow them to get by. I mean, there's so many parallels between these teams. The defenses, the quarterbacks being Nick Foles now and Case Keenum, two guys who were looked at as, Nick Foles hasn't proved himself yet. I think this game could be one where he does prove himself, put on a national spotlight. But Case Keenum has proved himself And also, Stephon Diggs and Alshon Jeffrey, to me at least, seem like very similar wide receivers. So you'll definitely see some parallels. And I think it'll be a very close game throughout the game.
I do agree it will be a close game, but I'm going to have to disagree on you with the Alshon Jeffrey and Stephon Diggs.
Really?
Yes, I actually think that Stephon Diggs, if he would have to be compared to an Eagles wide receiver, I would actually say he would be more like Nelson Aguilar.
Really?
Yes.
I say more Alshon Jeffrey because he's really good at gripping the ball and pulling it to him rather than his speed. So I think that I think he's more like Alshon. But besides the point, I think the Eagles are going to come out on top with 2 touchdowns, while the Vikings, unfortunately for Minnesota, another fan base who really, similar to Philadelphia, hasn't experienced a lot of victory, at least Super Bowl victory, none since the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I think that the Vikings are going to put up 2 field goals and a touchdown. Not late in the game or anything like that. I think it's going to be a very close game. Every minute throughout the game, you could say one team would win and you would sound perfectly sane. It's going to be a very, very close game to the end, I think.
I agree. I have nothing else to say.
Alright. Well, that about wraps up this video. Leave your NFC Championship predictions down below with a video suggestion also. And if you liked the video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe. Really helps out the channel. And anyways, guys, I'm Matt from Geekinsis signing out. See you guys.